So I got really upset with my own stupidity. So first thing in the morning, didn't even do any exercising or running. Got up and drove straight to the registry or DOT office, and different one. Just like one guy called me at 7:30, woke me up, but he said, try a different registry, not the one where you went, because he says often these girls, they don't have enough experience, especially when you deal with licensing from other provinces. And it didn't occur to me. So this time I decided to go to a different office of Ministry of Transportation of Alberta, which is, well, actually it's a company they have a contract with, so it's called the registry, right? And that was like a tiny office, only 3 clerks working, people lined up all the way to the street, and on the door there's a sign that says, do not keep the door open. So I open the door, I cannot get inside. There's like 20 people there waiting, and only 3 clerks working. But then eventually they added 2 more, and so it took me like an hour, but I printed out, so I brought that driver's abstract and photocopy of my driver's license. And there's, so 3 people, one is Chinese guy, one is Chinese lady, and one is white Canadian lady. And I prayed that I will get to her, and I got lucky. That at the last possible moment, this Canadian white lady opened up, and the Chinese lady, and I'm like, right away I ran to this one and I said, I hope we don't need a supervisor for this, but I said there's some kind of a mistake with my file, and I explained to her briefly, quickly, as clearly as I could, what happened and how I went to the other registry, and they said it showed I had class 5 with a Q air brakes endorsement. I did not have class 1 in Ontario. And I said, there's some kind of a mistake. And I said, here's my, proof, my driver's abstract, clearly, and I marked it with a red marker, A, class 1, Z, Q, air brakes endorsement. And she said, okay, hold on, give me a second. And she started doing something on the computer. And I said, by the way, can you enter online the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario database? And she says, yeah, we share records, so I can see Ontario. People working in Ontario, they can go and see Alberta. They have their own access, so which is pretty cool. At least we're in the same country, so they're sharing. And that's when she said, I do see here that Ontario, not the system in Alberta, but Ontario database shows that I have G license, which is class 5. G license with air brakes. I'm like, what? How the heck did that happen? And then she says, it's your medical. She says, you had a medical that was due on March 8th, 2023. So I moved to Calgary in October 22. Everything was valid. So at the point when I arrived, I had a valid class 1 or AZ driver's license, right? But it expired in March. And so it's funny, why would they downgrade it, right? I don't have that license anymore, right? Like she says on the system in Ontario, it says replaced, moved to a different province. So why are you changing my class if I'm no longer there? That license is no longer... Oh, maybe that's why. Because on the driver's license, I checked the expiry date. That AZ license, the expiry is my birthday in 2026. So that's why. So basically what happened, a long time ago, they allowed medical to lapse, and then you would lose your AZ or class 1, but you will get DZ or class 3. But now, seems they became much more strict, and so they drop it straight to G, to the car or small truck, G is same as class 5. Yeah, I can drive a tow truck, delivery truck, any kind of truck, as long as it has only one axle in the back. That's the rules for Alberta. If you want to drive a truck with tandem drives, you need to upgrade to class 3. Or of course, or class 1 if you have it. But yeah, it was really It was not a stupid decision. Like, I just want to kind of like defend myself a little bit why I did it. I really needed a break, you know, after so many, I cannot even count how many miles I did. So I know when I got my International, it had about 300,000 kilometers on it. And when I sold it, I think it had, I switched to miles. I think it had like 850,000 miles. So you do the math. That's what I drove in that International all by myself with no other drivers, right? And then Mac, I got brand new. When I sold it, it had 250 or 270,000 kilometers. And K-Whopper got brand new, sold it when it had 300 something, 330 or something. So that's a lot of, you know, mileage, a lot of kilometers, a lot of very long time behind the wheel. And so finally it came time, you know, to get a break. But now I really feel after, what is it, 16 months? No, I stopped in, I delivered the last load. It was that big excavator to a construction site. I still remember. I remember all my loads. Construction site in downtown Toronto. Remember, I delivered that the big excavator. I had a Jeep, the booster, you know, the works, and that's it. That's when I tried to renew my insurance, and was told, no, I'm the bad boy now, and I'm on the Santa's bad boys list because of that accident where the guy hit me in October 21, by the way. So October 22, it was 1 year. October 23, it was 2 years. So October this year, I will have 3 years of clean driving record in a commercial vehicle. And so I can get back my insurance. I can, if I want, I can reactivate my DOT number. But for now, honestly, I needed a break. So basically September, what is it? September, October, November, December, 4 months plus 12, 16 plus January, February here. So basically like 18 months I had off. So now finally I feel, yeah, I'm a bit ready. So I start looking at trucks again, because I'm telling you, before I became totally indifferent. Like people were saying, hey, you know, how about trucking? Do you miss it? No, I did not miss. You know, I look actually, when it was very cold, I look at these poor truckers, you know, sitting in the truck stop there, and I'm thinking, man, this would have been me, you know, like spending time in the truck at minus 30. So you have to idle all the time. It's loud, it's noisy, the bed vibrates. I hate sleeping like that with the engine idling. I don't know how people do it with those reefer trucks, but yeah, I did not miss those crazy days, you know. So but anyway, so that's what happened. She said, yeah, it's not our system fault, it's the Ontario that shows that you don't have AZ license anymore. It shows G or class 5. And she said, if you can bring me, and I showed her the driver's abstract. I said, look, it says AZ, right? And she looked at the date, and of course that one was issued in August of 22. When I was applying for new insurance, they wanted me to get the driver's abstract, all this stuff, right? And she says, if you can bring me a driver's abstract issued within the last 90 days, I can see what I can do. And I asked her, I said, so what would be my chance? Like, how would we proceed after that? I said, will I be able to get class 1 or class 3 at least? And she said, well, let's cross that bridge basically when we come to it. For now, she says, just get me the abstract. And I went to Starbucks after that and opened my laptop, got on my own hotspot, and went to the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario website, and turns out it's possible. You can order online, but it's a 5-year driver's abstract. And then I talked to the ministry customer service. They put me on hold for like 30 minutes, you know, but finally somebody answered the phone, a real customer service representative at the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario. And I explained to her, and I double checked. Basically, I paid like $12 for that 5-year driver's abstract, and it was a bit confusing. Where are they going to send it? Like in one spot on the website, it says it'll be mailed to the last address we have on file. What? I know I'm no longer in Cambridge, Ontario, right? So I put in Calgary address. And so I double checked with this lady. I said, so where will they mail it? And she says, no, if you put in your Calgary, Alberta address, that's where it'll come. And processing times is 15 days, business days. 15 business days. So it's like 5 and 5, 10. So it's like 3 weeks, right? And then they're going to mail it via Canada Post. And we also and she confirmed again. She asked me for my driver license number. I gave it to her. She asked me for my address, the one I had in Ontario, and she was able to look up my records there. And she said, yeah, it shows G because of the medical. And she says, if you go and get the regular 3-year driver's abstract, it will just show G or class 5. It will not show what you had before. So she says, if you want to have proof that you did have AZ or class 1, you must order a 5-year driver's abstract, which I did. Or she says there's another tool. It's called driver's license history. And that one was also available online. And I got it. I ordered it. And I asked her, I said, hey, maybe I should drive over to Ontario. Like the nearest town, once you cross the border from Manitoba, is Kenora, Ontario. And I looked up on the website, yeah, there is an office there. The Service Ontario, it's called over there. Here it's registry. Over there it's Service Ontario, like a DOT office, right? But the lady I was on the phone with, she says that would be just a waste of time because the office, like the Service Ontario, if you show up in person, they can only give you 3-year abstract. They cannot give you 5-year abstract. That one you have to order online. And she said the 3-year abstract is useless for you because it will not show you that you had AZ, you know. And so that's where we are at now. So ordered today, what is it, Tuesday, right? So it's only 4 days in this week, then 5 days next week. That's 9. And then so, it'll take 3 weeks just for them to process it. And then probably 3-4 days for the mail to show up here, because actually Canada Post works pretty fast inside Canada when they don't have to cross the border. And so that's why, because of the medical. And maybe that's why they wanted me to have a medical. You know, when I was talking to them, I said, if I want to get class 1 here, what do I have to do? And she said, you have to do a medical. Probably that's why she saw on my record that it was expiring in, 5 months in March, right? This was October. Maybe that's why, you know. But basically, yeah, it's 3 years. It's not 3 months. You have 3 years to get back your previous license. So hopefully, sometime in March, so it's February 20th today, right? So 10 days left here. Sometime in March, I'm gonna get 2 nice envelopes from Ministry of Transportation of Ontario. And then I can grab them and I can go back to the same lady, same Canadian white lady, and in the same new office where I was this morning. And hopefully she'll be able to do something like minimum. I think I should be able to get class 1 after a medical, or I should be able to get class 3 with no medical. Like class 3 is also super nice, you know, a big truck. You can drive a truck with tandem drives, like even a semi truck, as long as the trailer you're pulling has only electric or hydraulic brakes. It cannot have air brakes. If you're pulling a trailer with air brakes, you need class 1. That's the only difference in Alberta between class 3 and class 1. I don't know, why is it so difficult, you know? Even if you have class 3 with air brakes, right, that still only allows you to drive a truck with air brakes. It does not allow you to drive a truck, pull a trailer with air brakes. Crazy. Like how difficult is it, right, to operate a trailer with air brakes? It's so dangerous that you need to, you know, spend $10,000 on no, maybe 4. Yeah, if you have class 3, to switch to class 1, you still need to go through that MELT, M-E-L-T, MELT, minimum something learning training, which is, if you have previous experience with like class 3, it's 4,000 Canadian. So that's what I was busy today. And then I called my friend in Keswick, Ontario. Right, remember that guy, the old plumber, former plumber, Alan? And we talked about this. I asked him about what's the situation in Ontario is with rental apartments. And it quickly became clear to me that, yeah, I want to stay in Alberta. I'm not going to move back to Ontario because my apartment it's like, you know, jewel sitting somewhere in the bank. I don't know. It keeps growing in price. So right now, the current price of the same apartment is $245,000. Was my purchase price was $173,000, I think. So in 14 months, it increased in price, what, 25 and basically almost $50,000. That's the best investment of my life so far, you know, like honestly. Maybe the truck, I bought the truck for $235,000. And when I sold it, I made $80K, which is not too bad, you know, not too shabby. But honestly, with trucking, especially after I switched to the Jeep and the Booster, there was a big mistake. And now I would just have stayed with the 55-ton RGN. Just, you know, no Jeeps, no Boosters, because permits cost me last year $40,000. You know, permits just go through the roof when you drive like a 9-10 axle rig, and brokers don't want to pay you enough, you know, like, so basically your profit goes down because you pretty much get the same money as with 8-axle rig, but now you have to pay so much more for permits, you know, permits, escorts. Like that time when I was going into BC, I had to use one pilot, and a guy charged me $1,600 to go from the border between Alberta and BC to my destination. What was it? Some small town there in the mountains in BC. Just crazy, huh? So yeah, Jeeps, Boosters, I don't know. It's a waste of time unless you have customers that are willing to pay good money, you know. So yeah, and then I talked to Alan, and so his advice was get back class 1 and just work as company driver. You can make good money. And he says stay in Alberta because I explained to him that salaries here are higher, and he said there's more construction in Alberta, right? I said yeah, there's oil fields, and his suggestion was to basically get some kind of a trucking job, but on whatever I can do now with my current license. Oh, by the way, I just got my renewed updated license, so now it says Q air brakes on it. So now I have class 5 with air brakes, class 5 Q, like the actual, you know, plastic. And his advice was maybe like go and get a job like on a tilt and load, you know, tow truck or something. He says as long as while you're waiting for your paperwork, you can still get experience, because, you know, I haven't drove a truck since September of 22, right? So it would be good to put something on the resume besides, so now what I have to show for 23, I said, you know, work 2 months on a solar farm as a light equipment operator. And then, you know, I have to tell them, right? So doing deliveries for Uber Eats and DoorDash. But the upside of this job actually is that now I know Calgary very well. I know Calgary. I know surrounding areas because I pretty much traveled everywhere here. So, which is helpful, you know, it's helpful for a trucking job. And so here now I just did one trip that brought me to the middle of the city. But now, of course, it's about, what, 3 o'clock? Now it's a kind of like a lull, slow down before 5. But I don't feel like working today at all, you know. I just basically, when I get back home, so I'm gonna start applying for trucking jobs, whatever I can do with class 5, and I'll tell them that I'm working on my class 1, on getting back my class 1. So that might happen sometime in March. So it might be some motivation for people, you know, like if they can hire me to drive a light truck now, then they know that once I have my class 1, they can switch me to, you know, tractor trailer or heavy truck, like a 10-ton truck. And, you know, thinking back, I was the most fittest, in the best shape, when I pulled a 48-foot skateboard or flatbed trailer. You know, skateboarding, what are you doing? Oh, like one guy wrote on a forum, he says, they will have to pull me away from the skateboard unless I'm dead or something. So basically, he loved it so much that he said he would stay until like the very end. But I remember when they gave me that, you know, it was my own truck, that International, and when I did training at that McKinnon Transport in Guelph, Ontario, so they trained me from dry van to flatbed. It was like 2 days, right? So it was, you know, they showed us chaining, tarping, stuff like that. And then they gave me, I didn't have my own trailer yet, and so they gave me a 48-foot tandem trailer, and that was the start of my flatbedding. Okay, somebody's calling.